Good morning or hello wherever you are and wherever you're listening. My name is Sarah Seidelman, and welcome to the Hummingbird series where I'm interviewing different amazing people that I think have something to offer and to share with you and with me. And I'm excited to welcome Elizabeth Barbour. Elizabeth, can you say hello?
Good morning or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching this.
Right. Elizabeth is a coach, has been a coach for almost 20 years now. And I got to know her because we trained with one of the same, with Martha Beck, who's a coach trainer person, amazing person and author.
Actually,
well,
I didn't
train with Martha.
Beck.
We got connected because we're both coaches.
Yes.
Anyway, she shared a story with me about, well, there's a couple things about Elizabeth that are pretty awesome. She has done sort of traditional coaching for a long period of time and has been feeling the desire to move into a more intuitive style of coaching, and just has begun offering that. And so I wanted her to share maybe a little bit about that journey. And also her mom died a few years ago, and she told me the story of one of the ways that she marked that moment. And it was a really powerful thing. And I think it's something that maybe we could all take a page from this story that Elizabeth has to share with us. So Elizabeth, I offer you the floor.
Well, I just want to say thanks so much for having me here, Sarah. And it's been so great being connected with you. And I have learned so much from you in terms of how you have beautifully woven the shamanic practitioner work and the life coaching and ceremony and ritual, all of it together. So, I think that's one of the things I love about this community is we all learn so much from each other. So.
Thank you. Yeah, amen. Amen. We learn from each other.
Definitely. So, as we were talking before we got on, maybe I think it'd be neat for us to talk a little bit about how we both realized that ritual and ceremony was so important in our lives. I know for me, I think the first time I really remember doing, like full out ritual was when I went through a divorce about 17 years ago. I don't know. It's been a long time. And I was living in Asheville, North Carolina at the time and was really heartbroken. It was not my choice. I did not want to get divorced, but that was just, the path that was laid out for us. And I had a friend who suggested, she said, why don't you do some sort of ritual? And I was like, okay, that sounds good. And I wasn't sure what I would do. Well, I ended up doing like 3 different rituals. In honor of my divorce. I had one day where I did a bunch of things by myself, and I invited some girlfriends to come with me and sit in circle and kind of lift me up and love me. And then I actually did a short ritual on the telephone with my husband, who became my ex during that moment. I had him call me from the courthouse, and I had sent him a set of questions ahead of time, and we talked through them together in a really loving way.
Wow. Can you talk about, like, for those who are listening and maybe going through a divorce or still feeling the deep pain of a divorce and realizing that they need a ritual, can you share something about like what you did on your own? Or even though, gosh, those questions I think would be so amazing they're obviously tailored to you, but they might inspire somebody else to write their own questions.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of the ritual for myself during the day, I literally did about 7, and this is so funny because I don't recall ever having done ritual before, and I did about 7 hours worth of stuff. I literally beat my furniture with a tennis racket. I couldn't afford to buy new furniture. And so, we had just divided up our home, and he took half and I took half, and it was all very equitable. And I beat the furniture, like I beat our bed, I beat my couches with my tennis racket just to like get the negative energy out. Then I had a little condo. And so in my condo, I went around each room and I burned, I made like a little fire. So I used Epsom salts and a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and I lit a match. Now, mind you, make sure you have water and a fire extinguisher nearby. Gotta be safety first. And I did it all in a Pyrex bowl, and I went around to each room kind of releasing any negative energy or feelings or anything that I had. And then in each room, I also carried a bowl of moon charged water with me to sort of absorb that energy. And then after I had gone through all the rooms and done the release, I took the bowl of water and I, released it out into the woods. Then what I did after that, so that got me through to lunch. A lot of crying, a lot of yelling, a lot of purging. I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. So I was like, I need food. And then what I did in the afternoon, I went around to each room and I lit a tea light candle and I said prayers and blessings in each room, and setting intentions for what was this new chapter of my life going to be like. And then I rearranged some things. I moved picture and artwork. I was really into feng shui at the time. And I remember learning that if you move 27 things in your environment, that can really help to shift the energy. So that's what I did. I moved artwork from here to here. I moved a stack of books from here to here. I got rid of things. So that pretty much took the afternoon. Then that evening is when I invite my girlfriends to come over. I had 3 friends come, and one brought me a plant, one brought me just poems and stories and a letter about, we love you and you're strong and you're going to be okay. And then the other one brought me, this is so funny, she brought me, and I didn't ask them to do this. This is all totally individual. The other one brought me a single girl survival kit. So it had everything lipstick and movie tickets, and I think there were condoms in there. And it was just it was funny. We were laughing and just, had a great time. So it was really, and then what was interesting was during that time that they were there is when my first husband called me on the phone to say, everything's been filed at the courthouse. It's official. At that point, we were living in 2 different states. And so the questions I sent him, you asked me about that. The questions I sent were, what are your favorite memories from our marriage? It had been a 15-year relationship. So we'd been married technically for 7, but we had gone to high school together and dated on and off throughout college.
I love that you say that, because I know one of the biggest griefs when I've had friends going through divorces is does this mean that our whole lives were a lie? Because it feels like everything good is then also thrown away, but instead to harvest the sweetness that was there, that, this doesn't negate that.
I love how you say that, harvesting the sweetness, because that was what it felt like. I didn't feel like the marriage was wrong. It was wonderful and great for so many years. And we grew up together. We went to senior prom together, So, so that was really sweet to talk about our favorite things together. And then the second question was, what did we learn from one another? And so that was neat to talk about, what he gave me, what I gave him. And actually, to this day, all these years later, I credit him for giving me the courage to start my own business, because I don't think I would have done it. But he was like, you can do it. You're smart. You've got a hard work ethic. You can do this. And here I am 18 years later. And if he hadn't given me that courage, so I'll always be grateful to him for that. And then the third question was, what do you wish for me and my future? So, I was able to say that to him, and then he was able to speak that to me. So Beautiful. It was really powerful for both of us, really.
And I was going to say, if somebody who's listening, maybe you're in a relationship where you got divorced because, you were dealing with an abusive spouse or a narcissistic, something where you wouldn't want to engage in this kind of conversation with them, I would say that some of these beautiful questions might be something you could ask yourself, or you could ask in the company of supportive girlfriends. Especially that last question, what is it that you wish for me? Because they could all give you their answers about that, and how beautiful that would be.
Yes, that's so true. And that's such a great example as we keep talking about, ritual ideas. It really needs to be customized to the person, to the situation, to what your support system is around you. Do you have other people willing to engage in ritual? My girlfriends who came to my home that evening of the divorce, they were all like, yeah, we're into it. And when I had emailed my husband those questions, he was like, I don't want to do that. and I just said, please, I said, I think this is really important to both of us. And then after we had the conversation, and it maybe only lasted 10 or 15 minutes, but he was really grateful. He said, I'm glad we did that.
Yeah.
you know.
And I think that's why rituals are so important, because before we got on the phone, I was thinking how a ritual can be, or a ceremony can be, something so tiny. We could get into the definitions of ritual and ceremony. I'm sure I'm not speaking to that probably correct more, perfectly, but
Yes.
I was recalling a time in medical school where a patient of ours, my resident and I, were like running up the stairwell to go see another consult, and his pager went off. One of our patients that we've been following for days had died. And I remember we sat down in the stairwell and we just took a moment and we both cried. And I was so grateful for that moment, especially as time wore on, because I realized many times nobody would ever stop, nobody would ever pause to recognize the grief or the just the feelings that we were feeling about the things we were witnessing in our work. And I think divorce, kids going off to college, kids going into kindergarten, marriage. This is why these times they're filled with so much grief and also so much joy and anticipation for the future. And so to bridge that, or to acknowledge all that's in those moments, I think that's where ceremony is just really powerful.
Well, and I love that share, Sarah. And I think what I sort of focus on when you say that is, and whether the pause is, 2 minutes on a stairwell in a busy hospital, or when it's, several hours out in the woods with your best friends or whatever, it's that pause. I always think of ceremony and ritual as stepping out of ordinary reality. And whether it is for just a few minutes or if it's a few hours, it's that pause, it's that meaningful, intentional time to just step away and honor what's sacred about this change.
Yeah. And I love what you, in your ritual, how you have a beginning, and sort of like the beginning was sort of getting rid of, or, shooing out all the negative energy. And the middle was beginning to light this light and think about what you wanted to create during that time. And then at the end, kind of the celebration of everything, the culmination of that, and all the good things that are to come, and really starting to celebrate that vision and laugh, and, all the energy really shifting. And so I just encourage anybody who's listening to have the courage to create your own ceremony. We as humans are sacred. We are walking, talking sacred spaces. Sometimes we think we need a priest, or we need a shaman, or we need somebody to do this with us. And if you do, absolutely, people like Elizabeth, people like myself, we are here to guide you through these processes. Because sometimes we do want somebody to come with us and to take us by the hand and do this with us. And that's the kind of work both of us do. But also empower yourself to do it, whether it's a 5-minute, just lighting a candle and bringing that new energy into your home that you want to bring at the end of the day. That can be just so powerful. So yeah. Elizabeth, tell us a little bit about the work you do, and then how people can get in touch with you if they're interested in maybe getting this intuitive guidance, and maybe they're going through a divorce, or they're going through grieving a death, or some big, all the kids have left for college, and somebody is sitting there going, now what? I know there's something I'm meant to do. Talk about your work and what you offer.
Sure. Well, and I have to say, your model has really inspired me, Sarah, in knowing you, sort of weaving the coaching and the shamanic journey work and intuitive work all together. And so, yeah, in the last few
Dang, we are having some sort of, the Skype is, or the recording is not, something's happening with our, hopefully this will get repaired soon.
The screen as well.
Yeah, I'm back now. I think we just lost out first, so just continue.
Okay. So, they'll come with a question, issue, concern, whatever, and then I'll do an intuitive journey for them. And what I'll do is I'll write up all of the results, everything that I hear, feel, experience. It's all very symbolic. And then what we'll do is we'll hop on the phone together and we coach around it. Time to sort of explore and digest everything that I was able to see for them. And then we talk about it and talk about applications. And now that you have this new perspective and new insight, how can you do things differently as you move forward? Practical, much like traditional coaching is, but also offers a more sort of mystical, spiritual. So, yeah, and is this where you want me to say my website? And
yes, please.
Oh,
and I'll
okay.
put it above too, but yes.
Thank you. So it's my name. So it's elizabethbarbour.com, and Barbour is spelled Barbour. So, and there's an at the top. I'm offering an introductory rate for it right now because in August I celebrated 18 years in business. So, it's just a good opportunity for someone who wants to try it out and, see if it's a good fit for them. So.
Love it. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I just think lots of people who've been listening are going to be inspired to create some sort of ritual for themselves or to find somebody to connect with to walk them through one so that they can experience the gifts of it.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Sarah.
You're welcome. Thank you, Elizabeth.
All right. Bye.
Bye.